Hey everybody, welcome back to the Champions Podcast with myself, Champ Squires, and
Heather McCoy.
today is going to be such a fun episode. I get really excited I think both Heather and I both get excited when we have different people on, but today she's on my end, and it's great to have Emily Brunson Byrd with us. Emily has been a childhood friend my entire life, more like not even a friend, more like a child, more like a sister.
Yes.
When she walked into the house in the morning, I had somebody from the church here, and we were telling him how, that we had done everything together, gone trick-or-treating together. She had been with us when I had surgeries, just all kind of different things. We've done vacations together, all kind of things. So, Emily and I go back a long, long ways. Heather knows a little bit about Emily, because
Oh,
she
yeah. Well,
watched
I
us.
know a lot about the Brunson family in general.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but we're excited to have her. And Emily's got a powerful, transformative story. I don't know how I'm gonna do in just listening to it because it really impacts me every time I think about you and what you've done. So, Emily, I'm gonna turn it over to you and let you
Okay.
dive right into your story.
Sounds good. So as you all know now, I'm Emily. And I do have a little bit of a story. I married my high school sweetheart, Zach Bird, in December of 2019. And we knew right away that we wanted to start a family, but we just wanted to wait a few years. And we did. And January of 2021, I had my first positive pregnancy test. And that is when the whole journey began right there. Since then, I've gone on to have six miscarriages. I've done IVF twice, which in the end resulted in a miscarriage as well. So that's a little bit of my background story. So yeah.
So, what was that experience like? Be more, a little more intense about what that experience was like and how it just impacted you.
Whew. Well, the very first time that the first miscarriage happened, you think, okay, we'll just try again. It's the first time, surely the second time it will be, it'll happen. Well, it didn't. And then you go on to have the other ones, and you're like, what in the world is a problem? Then, we seek fertility, a specialist, and that's when we decided to do IVF. And we did that, and we got four embryos, two fertilized. And that's when we decided to transfer both of those embryos, and one actually, made it, and we got pregnant. And I was pregnant for 9 weeks, and then that's whenever I had my sixth miscarriage. Um, and during those times, I've gotten really frustrated. And I've told Trent this, through my frustration, I've asked God, why? Why me? But not once have I ever been mad at God. And that's mainly because I know that God doesn't allow pain without allowing something good to come out of it. And that has been my hope through all of this.
So, more of a pain with a purpose.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And I can just think about, I mean, six miscarriages. I mean, what you went through mentally and emotionally and even physically. And you say, you're not mad at God. That's such a powerful thing too, because I know so many women face this issue, and it's often not talked about because there's almost like shame in it. But to say that you're so vulnerable to say, hey, this happened, but I'm not mad at God. I'm going to continue on. There's some kind of purpose in this testimony is just so miraculous in itself, because I know so many people probably think, why me? I want to have a baby. I should be able to have a baby. Why isn't God letting me have this happen? What have I done to deserve it? And I mean, I've never personally been there, but I've just heard, these are the types of things that women especially question themselves with. And what was that like for you to just walk? Obviously, you've had six, so
I assume were the emotions different through each of those, or did you kind of have that same feeling because you were like, okay, well, gone through this before, unfortunately.
No, because each one has been so different. So, like that very first one that I had in 2021, I would consider that a chemical pregnancy because we never got an ultrasound or anything like that. And there has been times whenever I would go get an ultrasound and nothing would be formed in the sac. Um, but this last one, it was a year ago in October, and October was a year. Um, that one was very different because we had heard the heartbeat. We had never heard a heartbeat before. And I just knew that it was going to be it. This was my time. You know, we were going to be parents finally, and then 9 weeks later you hear the words, "I'm sorry, but there's no heartbeat." And I mean, I can still just hear the silence fill the room whenever I was told that. So,
What does it do? And in some ways, I kind of wish that Zach could be here to tell his part of the story, and I'm sure that'll come in time because I know that it's different
yeah,
for men and women.
yes.
Um, Granted, you carry the child, but they're a part of you too. They're part of that child, and that child has a part of them.
Mhm.
And what's the difference been like, or just watching it from your perspective of seeing how it affected you and then how it affected that?
Well, you know, men, they don't show their emotions too well. But I will say, you know, Zach is very quiet. He's a very quiet person. Um, and you know, like I said, this very last miscarriage, I mean, it affected both of us. I mean, I've only seen Zach cry 2 times in my lifetime, and it happened to be one of those. But I do feel like guys tend to carry it a little differently. And that's been kind of, I've been worried, like, is Zach okay? Like, I hope he talks to somebody. And, we do have friends that have gone through similar situations that have reached out to him. And I can never thank those guys enough that have, reached out to him and talked to him because it's hard. It is hard for a guy to show their real emotions. It is.
Maybe unless you're Champ, that cries
That's
all the
right.
time. We
That's
love you, Champ. Don't worry.
Yeah. I had a feeling that was coming. I was kind of hoping it wasn't coming that direction, but boom,
right.
there it is.
No, but you make a good point because I mean, even myself, some people would think, well, all you've been through, how do you not cry as much? And it's not that I don't feel it, but I think sometimes, especially when it comes to men, that they say, well, I've got almost, and I say it like, got to be the superhero, can't show it, can't, my wife is feeling all this. I need to be strong for her so it doesn't make it worse. And in reality, he's breaking down inside too and just doesn't know where to turn. And so I'm glad that he at least had some kind of little outlet of someone that he could talk to because it is so important to and sometimes people may not know exactly how you feel because they haven't lived your footsteps, but at least having someone to talk to that can listen. Sometimes it's just being heard, not even having a response, but just being heard. And this may, you can totally tell me if this is not a fair question. Going through all of what you've gone through, are y'all still trying to pursue a family, or you just kind of said, no, we can't do this anymore?
Well, so that has been the biggest thing. I've prayed for peace. Lord, just fill me with peace. If this is not your plan, take that desire away from me. And so in April, we did another egg retrieval. And actually, my sister, who is 7 years older than I am, she's got two boys, she offered to be an egg donor. So in April, we both did an egg retrieval and we got 13 eggs, um, six fertilized. And then a week later, we learned that all six quit growing on day three.
Hmm.
Um, so um that was that was very, very tough to you know, go through as well. Not only for me and Zach, but also my sister. And I will say, this doesn't just take a toll on me, the people going through it. It takes a toll on the whole family because they want to see you become parents, just as much as we do. Um, but anyway, we did that in April. And what was the question? You're gonna have to cut
Are you
that out.
still pursuing a family?
Yes, sorry.
She's not gonna have,
Get out of there. That's all.
she's not gonna cut that out because that's live.
No, right? Um, so in April, after that, I was mentally, physically, emotionally just done, clocked out, checked out, everything. And I told Zach, I said, you know what? I just honestly, I don't think that I can go through, definitely not, never going through IVF again, not doing that. Um, but just I don't know. I said right now I want to enjoy life. Um, and whatever God has in store for us, and I do believe He has something really, really great in store for us. So I'm clinging to that hope, and yeah.
You know, and yes, I'll admit, the girls were right. I'm a strange bird when it comes to emotions because I love to see them. Because I think in many ways, emotions are cleansing. Like they're just allowing yourself to feel is kind of a cleansing idea. And there are two times where I think that I just saw that from you, and that when you said you told Zach, like, I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm checked out. Let's go to something different. I think hearing those things from you, um, and I think Heather, I think you also have to understand it's different being the spouse.
Yes.
Like there are, and I'm not criticizing you, but I'm just saying there are different sides to the story that I see than Zach sees, or that Zach sees that I don't see.
Yeah.
Um, and I think sometimes it's harder for just the general public to compartmentalize those differences. I mean, I used to say in the beginnings of my relationship, even with Kelsey, like, does this person, or I would ask friends, does yours do this, or do these sorts of emotions cling to this person? And I had to come to terms with everybody's different.
Hmm. Yeah.
Everybody feels it differently.
Yeah.
This is more like a sister than anything else. So I that's different than being a spouse or walking. And so what she was saying about everybody feels it differently and it affects
Hmm.
everybody
Yes.
differently. Like I remember I think it was the last time of
Hmm.
your IVF, and I knew that you were doing it, and we were all so excited, and she did the fries thing and all those little tricks and gimmicks of the trade.
Yes.
And I remember you posted something that day, um, when they found out there was no heartbeat, and all I did was call.
Hmm. And that's
And
what I
I
call.
remember that, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to make this call, but I'm supposed to, or I need to, or I have to. And I think the general public is just so afraid of doing what Emily and I are doing right now, which is sitting in the room and just you don't have to say anything, just be present. So
Mhm.
But that's so true about people feel it differently. I mean, and it does affect everyone. Sometimes they may not say it because they don't want you to feel any worse, but
Yes.
it's still affecting them. And it's, just when you think about the gravity of what you've even had to walk through, is there obviously, if you are having hope that it may happen for you and Zach, is there a part of you that has acceptance for if that isn't the plan? Because the reason I ask that is for someone like me, obviously due to my health stuff, I know that there's no way that I'll ever have a child, a human child. So my joy is fur babies. That's my children.
Yeah,
But I have acceptance and it doesn't bother me at all because I know that's just what God planned for me.
that's right.
So I find my joy with maybe a friend's child and I buy them Christmas presents or something to feel joy. Is there part of you that says, okay, God, if you never allow me to be a mother in that aspect, I have acceptance and can still find joy and feel fulfilled in my life?
Yes, for sure. And I have, like I said, I have two nephews, Gray and Brooks, 8 and 2 years old, and let me tell you, they are my pride and joy. And I am forever grateful. And I do believe that God allowed me and gave me a sister because she does let me treat them just as, they're my own. And I am so thankful. I pick them up from school or, keep them during the day. And that has been the biggest blessing. But let me tell you this. I have, you know, felt at peace. Like, okay, this doesn't happen for me. Because let me tell you, somebody told me one time, they were like, you know what? You and your relationship with Zach, what y'all have is so special that some people spend their whole lives trying to find what you two share. And, that got me thinking. And, I feel like sometimes we get so caught up. I got so caught up in, I just want a baby. I just want a baby that I did not take the time to really stop and be grateful for what I do have. I am thankful for Zach, um, and our relationship. Like I literally could not live without him. But just being grateful for the little things that we do have in life and not focusing so much on I want this, give me this. So, yeah.
And Heather, if I can add to that, it's a level of contentment.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
because I remember you and I had a conversation a few weeks ago, actually before Leighton's wedding, about coming on the podcast, and like I want to make sure she was comfortable with it and some of the questions we might ask. And so I think one of the questions I asked you in that conversation was, "What has it been like to be married to Zach?"
Hmm.
And have you ever questioned like? And I know this is going to send some people in a spiral, and I'm just going to ask it because I think it's so true. Is it ever been a question in your heart and mind of what's wrong with us? Like is there something wrong with him? Is there something
Yeah.
wrong with me? And you said to me, I love Zach for Zach.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter if, and I even asked, I said, well, if you would have known anything different or could have married someone else in that moment to fulfill that desire, would no. And I think when I heard that, like I knew that all well and good, but when I heard her say that,
Hmm.
it was kind of what she said about she knows that Zach and her have something that's so special that people spend 60, 80 years looking for that contentment with this is my partner,
Hmm.
we're going to go through the valleys and the mountaintops and we're going to do it together. So
Yep.
And it makes
I
you
think they
grow
get it.
as people
Yeah.
individually and together to say, well, yeah, like Champ saying, well, yeah, you could find someone else to date, but it's not going to be the same bond and growth in Christ that you both have together. And
That's
it
right.
would look totally different. I mean, who's to say you would even be happy like you are today with Zach? I mean, and I think it's just so amazing y'all have been able to grow not only individually but together in that way. I mean, I hate you have to go through such trauma with something so deep as what you've had to go through, but I'm sure when you look back, you kind of go, wow, we survived that. And then we survived that. And then we survived that. And here we are still going. And to say you still have gratitude and joy in your heart, I mean, unfortunately, there are some people in this world that would be bitter and they would say, oh, I can't believe this would happen to me. Why did it happen to me? You see this people, and it's a lot of comparison, obviously, out in the world. And
So
I
yeah,
always tell people just because you see somebody's Facebook feed doesn't
exactly.
mean they have it all together.
Exactly. And I will say, adding to that bitterness part, that is a normal feeling whenever you're going through something like this. And that's what I've kind of shared with other, girls that have are going through this. You can be mad, you can be bitter, but at the end of the day, what is that going to do? You know, because you know, and it's crazy going to other people's baby showers and seeing baby announcements on Facebook, that has been really, really tough. I've been there. I've been like, I just want to delete Facebook. I don't want to see it anymore, things like that. And I've gotten well, so many people have come up to me and been like, how are you so positive? Like, why are you like that? And I'm like, because, what else am I going to be? So that's really important, is to know that, it's normal to be bitter and, jealous. All that's normal, but you cannot let it consume you. You can't let it consume you.
Absolutely. And if you did, you would miss out on just living life and being happy
Exactly.
with that.
The little things. The little things.
And I say it all the time. We don't need to compare ourselves to other people's lives. Everybody was meant to have a different story and a different lifestyle. And I think it's just amazing you have contentment to say, if God lets it happen, it happens. If not, I'm not going to stop living. This is what He had meant for me. And I think through all, even the tragic things, there's always a testimony that shines out. And I always say this: through our biggest hurdles, we stumble upon our strength. I mean, if you looked at yourself 15 years ago, you'd probably think, no way, I couldn't get through all that. And now you look at yourself today and you say, I did that.
Yes,
Well,
for
I can
sure.
look at her and say she probably you couldn't have in those seasons, I don't think, and it's because of just the growth that happens, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
God's grace.
Champ, what has it been like for you? Obviously, because you're so close, like family members. What's it been like for you to see that growth and to see her kind of not give up and to continue on and say, I'm not going to let this change who I am. I'm not going to lose my faith in God. I'm not going to blame God. I'm going to accept it for what it is.
so another Captain Obvious and honest moment. I think I shared with her in way before we ever started the podcast back up that I was so intrigued by the reality that the faith had been faith now. Like I think she would agree. We both grew up in Bible Belt USA, Bible Belt community. You went to church, you did all the things,
Yeah.
you said all the right, you prayed all the right prayers, you professed it all in such a way that it was like check, check, check. And when you get to I don't want to say a specific age, but when you get to a either an age or a point or a season in life when it's not mama and daddy that can come around and say,
Mhm.
I got it, or I'll take care of it, or I'll do this. You have to take ownership of it. And I think for me, the ownership of this woman beside me is incredible, because she's gone and shared it with churches, with groups of people. They started some support groups, I
Mhm.
think,
Yep.
and um, like I love hearing Emily now because the Emily that I know now is not the Emily that I knew 15 years ago. It's a completely Emily was Emily.
Hmm.
Emily was a lot about Emily. And I'm just gonna be
Yes.
honest about Emily was about Emily at times. And now Emily's about sharing what God has done. Um, and I think it's a maturity thing too. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, because going back to the you you are still mom. Those are still, those were still seeds of image bearers that God granted to you to carry for just those 9 weeks. And I might be getting a little passionate about that, but it's so true because they're still human. And if a book was ever written on Emily's story, those six would would be parts of her. And so just watching that has been incredible. Hearing her talk about, and I will say it's funny that you asked that question, Heather, because hearing her talk about the not being angry, that's always been something that I've always said. I can't be angry for the things that I've been through. I can't be angry for death. I can't be angry for God taking dad. I can't be angry for all these things because it doesn't do any good.
That's
And
right.
sometimes people say, well, you just aren't grieving well, or you're just pushing it off to the side. No, I don't want to be consumed by it. I'm not ignoring it,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be consumed by it. And so I think watching that is just, I've learned even more from this one because I see that it's not just something that I talked about, it's something that somebody else truly can live by. And I can tell you that because we don't talk like we did growing up. I mean, we talk,
Yeah.
but I don't see her every day. I don't talk to her every week. I don't I see her, every month at least,
Yeah.
but I don't see her every day. And so knowing that Champ's not always there, like somebody else can live in that same sort of love and joy and contentment and gratitude, even in difficulty, is like, okay, folks, like this can be a reality. Like you can do it, even if it sucks,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it.
Yeah.
So,
And Emily, with you speaking at churches and you even coming on this podcast today and even being open about your story, maybe on social media or wherever it may be, I just can't help but think about this thing I saw many years ago was your story can be someone else's survival guide. So you may be talking and think, well, am I really hitting hearts here? What am I really doing? Is God going to give me the words to be able to touch someone today? And I can guarantee you people are listening. And not only that, there may be someone in that audience that isn't being vocal about what they're going through, that you, hearing you, may say, I can do this. If she
right.
can do this, I can do this. And that's just so powerful. And now, obviously, we wish you didn't have to go through it, right? But at the same time, I can't help but think God is still using you, even if the dream didn't come out exactly like you had pictured it or
Yeah.
prayed for. He's still using your story and your testimony to help other people. And I mean, us here today, all of us are a testament of doing that, that even when we think people aren't listening and it's not touching them, or even if they're not going through it themselves, their family member might be going through and say, hey, you need to listen to this woman. She has gone through this and she can really help you. Maybe you can talk to her. It's just so powerful, and I think it's so wonderful that you're so open about it, because I feel like, and especially as a woman, that we shouldn't have to be ashamed just
Right.
because the lifestyle looks different than the society norm. They feed us about the American dream of the big house and the family and the dog in the backyard and all this stuff and the 5 kids, whatever they feed you. It's okay to be different. It's okay for the dream to look normal, because you can still be happy without all those things. And so I just think it's so admirable of you to just be open about it and say, I'm not going to hide this. I'm not going to just curl up in the corner and say, never talking about this. Because I'm sure at one point you probably thought, how am I going to talk about this?
Oh, yes. For sure. For sure.
And I never would have thought that Emily would have been so open about it because
Yeah.
I'll never forget when I got the first phone call. I thought, okay, this is gonna be tough. Like
Yeah.
she's gonna wrestle. She's gonna beat herself up, and you haven't done that. And I just think I think that's part of the testimony too. I think it's just walking. Um, to be a little political for a minute, I think it was funny when, if you've ever seen any of the story with Erica Kirk, one of the things that she says that Usha Vance asked her, said to her, she said, "I don't know how I'm going to make it."
Mhm.
And the response was, "You'll get through the first 15 minutes, and then you'll get through the next 15, and
Yeah,
then you'll get through the next 15." And we're so focused or worried about going to the next thing.
that's right.
What about here?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so what about the now? So I'm excited to see what happens. Um, I think that your story is perfect. I really do. Because God's in it and
Yes.
God makes perfect things out of imperfect things. And
Yes.
so like
Absolutely.
That's right.
I'm excited for them. Um, I love the humility and I love just the maturity in Emily's voice. And it's just this one makes my heart tingle in a different way
Mm.
because yesterday or today's episode that came out today, or well, actually a week from when this one will be released, was all about joy. And this one is more serious, but it's just the perfection of what God can do if you just allow Him to use your story for His glory. So,
Yeah. And Emily, is there anything that you would say to someone that may be listening to this that's kind of facing the similar road to not give up and to not give up hope?
Yes, don't. But one of the things that, well, I will say one of the things that has helped me is sharing my story. And that's kind of how everything came about was I got on social media and I just everything that I was feeling, I typed it out and I posted it. And you would not believe the amount of people that messaged me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going through that too. Thank you so much for posting that." And that has kind of led me and another girl, her name's Lauren. We have started a support group. It's called Planting the Seed Support Group. And we try to meet about once a month. And we meet at the Johanna House. And it's just people that have experienced infertility, miscarriages, you name it. And just a bunch of girls that get together and, say whatever is on your mind, what's in your heart. We offer encouragement, prayer, things like that. And that has been a big help. But my thing is don't ever feel like you're alone because you're not.
mm,
You're not. And none of this is your fault.
Yeah, that's all. And I think you're amazing, and I'm just so honored that you were able to do this episode. And I know that it's going to touch a lot of hearts, and even those that may not be going through it is still going to touch their hearts. And so I thank you so much just for your vulnerability and, like Champ said, the humility and just being willing to share your story. I know it has to be tough even to recall it, to go through it again, to tell it, but
Yeah,
there's power in that. And
sure.
I am confident 100% God still has so much in store for you and Zach.
Yes.
And so you're a blessing, and keep doing what you're doing,
Yes.
and just keep sharing it. Keep
Yes,
sharing it.
for sure. And let me add that I've always said throughout this journey, um, I have, like Champ said, I am a different person. I have gotten close to the Lord through all of this. I, like he said, grew up in church, things like that. But it's not until something like this happens that you fully rely and trust on Him. And that is what I've done. And I've said it 1,000 times. If this was God's plan to bring me closer to Him, then so be it. So,
Well, Champ is getting emotional over there, so I guess that's our cue to wrap it up today. But you're always welcome back to share and to
yes,
share about
thank
what you're
y'all.
doing. And we thank you so much, and we love you. And just we pray that God continues to bless you and Zach with whatever He sees fit. And like I said, just keep rocking on and keeping that faith and keeping that good mentality. And we know you're going to do great things.
Thank you.
So thank y'all for listening to the Champions podcast, and we'll see you back next week. And God bless y'all.
take care.